Forget the Hollywood romantics. Forget the colorful parrots, the endless rum, and the joyful leaps into the crystal clear Caribbean waters. That is a fairy tale sold to children. If you want the truth of the Golden Age, look at the mine. Look at Execution Dock. Look at the bodies of real pirates, locked inside rusty iron cages, swaying heavily in the salt-heavy wind along the River Thames. Their flesh rots under the indifferent sun, picked apart by crows. This was not a playground for rebels. It was a meat grinder for profit. Today, we strip away the mask to uncover the truth of the pirate corporation. A cold machine where human life had a strict price tag. To understand the pirate, you must understand the hell he fled. Imagine the year 1720. You are a sailor in the British Royal Navy. The Empire views you as a disposable tool. You are not a citizen. You are a cheap cog in a machine that wants to grind you into dust. You were likely kidnapped from a tavern by press gangs. Now, you work 16 brutal hours a day on a floating wooden prison. The air below decks is thick with the suffocating smell of unwashed bodies, bile, and rotting wood. You sleep in a damp, pitch-black corner. Rats scurry over your face at night. Your dinner is a piece of salt beef as hard as oak, and you chew on biscuits crawling with weevils. You suffer in silence. Because if you complain, if you drop a single rope, the boatswain arrives, and he carries the cat-o'-nine tails. The whip has metal tips that catch the skin. It rips your back into a bloody nap, exposing the white of your ribs to the salt air. And for what? A wage that barely buys a loaf of bread. Your life serves a king who does not know and does not care about your name. But psychology teaches us a dangerous lesson. Men become the most terrifying predators when they truly have nothing left to lose. Cornered by this exploitative system, these sailors saw a terrifying truth. They were already dying. They were bleeding out for someone else's gold. Why not die for their own? This was not a simple rebellion of angry slaves. It was a hostile corporate takeover. They seized the means of production. They turned the massive galleon into a heavily armed startup. But this company did not sell tea or spices. It sold terror. It operated on a strict, ruthless system of mathematics and blood. It was the most efficient business model of its time. They called it the Pirate Code.
Just past the reef.
Before the anchor rose on their new venture, every man stood in the dim light of the hold to form a pact. They didn't just sign a paper. They used their own blood as ink. This was a binding legal contract for a high-stakes, deadly venture. No one was above the law of the ship. You think the captain was a tyrant? You are wrong. In the world of pirate capitalism, the captain was a CEO. He served at the pleasure of the shareholders, the crew. They elected him based on merit and his skill in battle. They chose him for his ability to find rich targets. But his power was strictly limited. He only ruled during the heat of the chase. In times of peace, he was just another sailor. He did not get a private cabin. He did not eat better food. If he became a bully, the crew did not wait for a court. They held a vote. They stripped him of his rank. They marooned him on a sandbar with a single pistol. Power was a performance metric. It was not a birthright. The real power sat with the quartermaster. Think of him as the chief operating officer. He managed the human resources of the ship. He distributed the food. He enforced the discipline. He kept the peace between 100 desperate, heavily armed men. This system created a check on power. It was a cold, calculated balance. A divided crew does not capture gold. A divided crew dies. The pirates understood this better than any merchant lord. They built a system of transparency to prevent internal rot, knowing trust kept the ship afloat. Now, let's look at the insurance policy. Imagine the sound of a cannonball hitting a wooden hull. It sounds like a thunderclap inside a coffin. Splinters the size of daggers fly through the air. They shred human flesh like paper, tearing through the men in a split second. In the British Navy, a disabled sailor was garbage, tossed aside to beg on the streets. But the pirates saw their bodies as capital. They created the world's first workman's compensation fund. The ledger was precise. It was a menu of misery. Did you lose your right arm in battle? The company owes you 600 pieces of 8. Did you lose a leg? That is 500 pieces. A missing eye or a severed finger had a fixed price. This money came off the top of the profits, paid before any sailor saw a coin. Why? It was not out of kindness. It was risk management. A sailor who knows his family will be paid is a sailor who charges into the fire. They priced human suffering to ensure maximum aggression. It was the ultimate commodification of pain. Flesh and bone converted into hard currency. Down in the dark hold, the ship's surgeon worked with a bloody saw. Every amputation was a calculated business expense for the corporation. The gold was literally washed in blood. This was the cost of doing business outside the law. A brutal, perfect machine of capitalism. To protect these profit margins, they used the ultimate psychological weapon: branding. It wasn't just a decoration to scare children. The Jolly Roger flag was a calculated, global marketing campaign designed to reduce overhead costs. Because combat is expensive. Cannonballs cost money, and damaged ships require expensive, illegal repairs. Every minute spent fighting is a minute you are not looting. The pirates wanted to avoid the fight entirely. The black flag sent a clear, chilling brand promise. Surrender now and live. Resist and die. Most merchant captains saw the skull and bones, and they saw their own graves. They surrendered immediately. The pirates won without firing a single shot. They used psychological warfare to protect their profit margins. It was terrifyingly logical. They were masters of loss prevention. When the job was done, the payout was transparent. There were no secret bonuses for the executives. A common sailor might earn 20 years' worth of wages in a single afternoon. The captain only took double the share of a deckhand. This was a level of income equality that would make a modern corporation tremble. The Empire did not hunt pirates because they were thieves. The Empire hunted them because they were a threat to the social order. They proved that a crew of former slaves and poor men could run a business better than a duke. That was the real heresy. The sight of equality was more dangerous than 100 cannons. But here is the question that haunts history. Did the pirate ship ever really leave the harbor? Look at our world today. We see modern corporations that treat people as numbers, prioritizing the share price over the worker's life. What if the pirates were just the most honest version of capitalism? They didn't hide behind PR firms. They were businessmen with swords. Is your office any different? Your CEO sits in a glass tower taking 1,000 times your salary. He can fire you with a click of a mouse. At least on a pirate ship, you could vote him out. At least on the high seas, you knew the exact price of your arm. Maybe the Golden Age never ended. Maybe the black flag is now a blue suit, and the ocean is now a stock market ticker. The pirates were simply the ones brave enough to look at the ledger and accept the darkness of the deal. They chose a short life, but a free one. They were the original CEOs of the high seas, and their legacy is still written in every contract we sign today.